look at this nice dress, or this one, and you can easily buy them at H&M. Well, that's a disgrace, at least if you ask the guy that created these patterns. This is William Morris. He lived in the 19th century and is a greatly known Victorian designer. Morris has been described as a very clumsy child, and as he grew up during the 1840s as the son of a rich middle-class family in an aristocratic home, he was known to break things all the time, because vases and chairs and all sorts of things were pretty fragile. Over the course of only about 30 years, the world went from everyone working on a farm to almost everyone working in factories. This had as a consequence that the rich got richer, but the poor also got a whole lot poorer. Morris saw the goods made in those factories as fake. They weren't real art, he said. In boarding school, Morris, the hopeless romantic that he is, saw the grey urbanized Victorian cities where the lower class lived and couldn't help but daydream about a mystic medieval past. Times that were less loud, more peaceful, and overall more fair. But the only medieval things being made during his time were big castles. That was too upper class for him. He wanted handcrafted, functional, and robust, but still beautiful pieces of furniture for the masses to feel better. And luckily, he came from a wealthy family, so he brought together all kinds of artists who believed those same political ideas. He created most of his designs in collaborations with, for example, Philip Webb, an architect who even designed his home, or his friend Edward Burne-Jones, or the controversial Dante Gabriel Rossetti, all part of the still existing Morrison & Company. On their quest to destroy the suburban desert of tastelessness, they made wallpapers, textiles, carpets, and ceramics, etc., while not only creating art based on, but also going on to living the poetic Middle Ages, inspired by medieval manners where a liberal, almost socialist lord lives among his extended family and workers. Those commonly featured patterned walls and apple oak hearths. This is the Woodpecker Tapestry, a tapestry created by William Morris on his own, surprisingly in this case. That means he put his weaving skills to the test in order to create this 3-meter-tall object. In case I need to say this, hand-woven textiles had lined the halls of royal courts during the Middle Ages, but weren't very popular in the 19th century. So the decision to make art out of tapestry at all was clearly unique. You can see two birds, a woodpecker and a songbird in a tree, which is typical for Morris's design, as he liked to feature wild and garden flowers, intertwined leaves, and birds. Above and below are two scrolls with a Gothic font inscription, again showing his medieval inspiration based on one of his later released playful poems, I once the king and chief, am now the tree bar's thief, even twixt trunk and leaf, chasing the prey. And it's based on a tale from the Roman poet Ovid. It features a witch cursing a king to become a woodpecker after he declines her sexual advances. Yuck. If you were to try to interpret some kind of lesson while taking Morris's worldview into account, you might want to say he's no longer a king, but can he even really be sad about it if he can now spend his time in such a beautiful environment? Visually, one might just want to follow the curves and turns of the branches, for they are incredibly harmonic. Medieval artists simply didn't know how to do perspective. Morris, on the other hand, believed that design should reflect its flat surface. He knew these weren't supposed to be artworks in the way paintings are, close to photorealistic and packed with layer after layer of meaning. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be beautiful and remind you of nature, to suggest the natural world, so imagination can do the rest. In a busy world, it was supposed to provide comfort and rest. All of this is only achieved through symmetrical order. In his DIY way of craftsmanship, he made colors he used by himself, utilizing, for example, onion or walnut shells. And just to be clear, chemical colors did exist at this point, and he could have used more varied and less muted colors like violet or emerald. This tapestry also had a practical need though, because tapestries and wall curtains were used to keep the heat inside the house and not let it escape through the less than dense walls. These sort of patternworks did exist before Morris, but there were some notable differences to his designs. They used to be tropical and vibrant and had far more detail. Other artists found that to be abhorrent and reverted to flat, gothic, and primitive designs, since they saw the former one as undignified, botanic self-indulgence. Morris kept the floweriness and seductiveness of nature, but relegated the Orientalism. Instead, he features British nature like willows, algae, tulpas, and much more. The people living in half-timbered suburban villas ate these things up, but unfortunately, Morris never achieved his original goal to make handcrafted beautiful designs affordable to the lower class.